What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Questions Unraveled with your host, Emily Robbins. Today, we've got some exciting stuff going on, as well as some in-depth conversation about things such as incarceration, overcoming cancer, and goodness gracious, this is a story for the ages. I have Brenda Wood coming on today, close friend of mine that I came into circles with recently, actually. And it's so interesting how when you start surrounding yourself with people, you realize that friends can become friends very quickly if they're in the right alignment. That being said, I'm just going to give you guys a brief forefront about Miss Brenda Wood. She is a successful author, business owner, and entrepreneur. She's been an entrepreneur since high school. So, okay, let's talk about woman power real quick. That being said, she's also a biologist, so that's amazing, and a speaker in herself, as well as she has a massive event coming up this year that I'm so excited about. So I'm about to bring her on, everybody. If you guys can welcome Brenda Wood for me.
Hi, guys.
We are so excited to have you here. Everyone, make sure you like and share out because today's topic is overcoming opposition. That being said, I just want to highlight Brenda real quick and let her have the floor and talk about what exactly it meant for her in overcoming opposition.
Well, for me, I was coming face to face with opposition on a monthly, sometimes annual, sometimes daily basis. And um, I'm all about wanting to help people. And I let that come between some of my priorities. And you say, well, wait a minute, what's wrong with helping people? You can do it at a point where it hurts yourself and your family. And I let that happen. I let some family members live with me. I do not regret a day of that. I would do that all day long. Um, I had an uncle that was living in the mountains in a tent. He was an alcoholic, and he came to stay with me, and it was the best relationship building experience that I could have ever imagined. He had a wonderful relationship with my kids. He was able to rebuild a relationship with his brother, which is my father, and it was just wonderful. He ended up passing away. He had lung cancer. Then after that, I had an aunt who had ALS come to stay with us, and she ended up passing away as well. She died in her home. She was surrounded by family. We had hospice in. I don't regret that type of help at all because people need that.
Right.
It was my own situation that I let things kind of unravel in my life. And I was diagnosed with cancer in 2011. I had a tumor right here, and it's in your parotid gland. It was cancerous, had to have it removed, had to go through chemo and radiation. During that time, I didn't know if I was going to live or die. So I was in my early 40s, still had 2 kids in high school, 2 in college. And I made some choices and some decisions that actually landed me in jail. And not just in jail, for a night or two, I was there for almost 4 years. So a lot of that came from wanting to help people, putting myself and my finances in a position that was actually harmful to me, trying to save jobs for people. And what I can tell you is you have to have that foundation before you can reach out and do that for others. So if you can't take care of yourself, you're not really going to be able to take care of others. So I'm going to let you ask me some questions and kind of take it from there.
Absolutely. So, first and foremost, I just want to say that you inspire me, and I'm so grateful to have you here today. When I start to listen to your story, and as well as how much you've kind of told me behind the scenes, and I think about where you are now, how did you get to the position where it was like, oh my gosh, here I am and I'm in jail?
I didn't know that myself at first because it had happened gradually. Times just kind of sped by, and you don't realize the people who you have in your life that really are people that you should have had in your life. That you tell your kids, do not get involved with that person. The wrong crowd's going to bring you down. And I did exactly what I tell my kids not to do. The downside to that is I didn't know that some of the people I was associating myself with were not good people. They looked like they were pillars of the community. They looked like they were always had their hand out helping people. They looked like everything that I was trying to be and had been at certain times of my life. And that wasn't the case. And when I was diagnosed with cancer, they tried to take advantage of me. They wanted my company. They wanted to, and I was, they wanted to buy into it. They wanted to control it. And I didn't know if I was going to live or die. My kids were little. My parents were older. My husband wasn't going to do anything with it. He didn't like the industry we were in from the first day. So what we ended up doing was looking for people to buy it. Well, it wasn't going to run without me in it because I had my hands very much in everything. These people, I found out later, love to get involved with small companies. Not only get involved with them, get themselves so intertwined in it that you couldn't do it without them.
Mm.
I saw that coming. I was able to head it off, and it just started a row of hatred towards me. And one thing led to another. They started causing problems within the company, trying to split people. And it did. It did happen. Some people left the company and started their own and became my competitors, and which is fine. You know, they have every right to do that, but they try to take my clients with them. So not only did that contribute to things, it also puts a financial strain on any type of business when you have that happen. A lot of it's my own fault. I should have seen things coming. I should have did things differently. I should have been a better person, to be honest with you, instead of letting some of the things happen that happened. Because it was my company, I still was in charge, and I got involved with some folks that I really shouldn't have gotten involved with.
You know, and I do just want to be clear to everyone that is watching. Brenda was a massive success story. You know, when she started out just, was it cleaning just local houses? Is that how you started?
I started cleaning people's homes because I had just had my first to have a little bit of extra money to help with the family. And one thing led to another, started doing commercial buildings here or there. And then it just expanded. We had over 300 employees at one time.
That is insane. And then that's when you stepped in to, was it realty?
Yes, we had several real estate companies, and we did ours a little different. We bought some franchises. Usually you become a real estate agent and then maybe a broker and then have your own office and buy your own stuff. We actually bought our real estate first. I'm a broker. It was absolutely crazy, but it was because of the people that I let in my life talk me into doing things that I probably shouldn't have done. And in the end, I was the one with all the debt, paying 100% of the bills of properties and things that I didn't own 100% of. And that starts eating into your income and your life and the stress. And then when you're diagnosed with cancer on top of it, your mind is not 100% clear. There is a thing called chemo brain, and I'm not justifying any of my actions or my actions. You know, everything that I did is completely on me. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not pointing fingers, because everything that I did was my choice, and I could have done things differently, and I did not. And facility with 26 charges. They wanted to give me 30 years. And I was only 3 years out of, maybe 2.5 years actually, out of chemo, radiation, major surgeries. I have had over 25 surgeries. In the last 5 years, I've probably had about 12.
Wow.
And so to go into being incarcerated with coming out of cancer, not knowing what your future is going to hold, not knowing your medical situation, just the unknowns.
Right. And I find it interesting when you described incarceration earlier, and then when you described finding out you had cancer, you unisonly just described it. I don't know if you even realized that, how you say the unknown. And I think that's, you know, with anything in life where we're just out of control, it's not only fear based, but it's just, well, fear based.
Based. And you do some things out of fear that you don't normally even consider that you would be able to do. And I really don't know how else to say it, because a lot of things that I did were done out of love for others, to
Right.
try to save and salvage others, and to try to prepare my family for a future without me in it. And you don't know what you're going to do until you're put in those situations. And then not only that, when you're going through an illness like you're going through, and one of your family's best friends that comes to work for you steps out and tries to run an opposing business, which is fine, but tries to take your clients and badmouth you with him. That is very, very, very stressful. Not only did that happen once, it actually happened twice to me in a period of 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So my main question for you would be, looking at where you are today after being incarcerated for almost 4 years, overcoming cancer, losing the business that you built.
Yep.
Would you change anything in the way that it happened?
You know, that's a hard question because no. The things that people think I did are not really the things I did. The things that I did do, people probably didn't even think that that is what I would have done. Um, the reason why I say no is because my mental state and my spiritual state was so broken that it took these tragedies to get me back on track. Had they have not happened, I don't know where I would have been, and I don't know what kind of person I would have become. And I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be on the path that I would have been on had these things not happened to me.
Right.
And people say, "Are you crazy?" Yeah, I had a great income. I had a huge house. I had the nice cars. I had the marriage. I had the kids. The kids were good. Um, looking in, people say, "Wow, I want what she's got." But I wasn't happy. I was not happy. I wasn't happy with myself. I wasn't happy in the job. I wasn't happy in the marriage because there was something going on between me and my husband. Just I was so tired all the time. I
Right.
didn't have time for him. And that is not who I wanted to be. It's not the reason why I got married. It's not the reason why I was a mother. And there was things I really wanted to do that I could not do because I was so busy doing the things that I hated. And one of them was becoming a speaker, one of them was becoming an author. And I wasn't able to do that because I had no time. Not only did I not have the time, it takes a little bit of money to do that. And my money was tied up. It was tied up with payroll and debt of owning a house and vehicles and machinery and equipment and land and commercial buildings. And so, yeah, it looked great. We had things, but nobody was happy. And I can tell you that success is not about money. Success is not about the status or the job that you have or the car that you drive, because none of that means anything if you don't have family, if you don't have support, and you don't have happiness.
I was listening to you talking about everything that you had and then what you lost. And I couldn't help but think about Job
Mhm.
and his story and how he had everything and it was stripped away.
Mhm.
And his wife literally told him within the ashes, she said, turn your back towards God and curse him and walk away. He's
Yes.
taken everything from you. I mean, your faith might as well go with it. In those moments, especially incarceration, being completely alone and feeling like even when your family came with you, because I know you said you had a phenomenal support system,
It did.
but those bars still closed at night.
Well, not only that, my family was seen through a phone,
Mm.
through glass. There was no physical contact. There was no in person, nothing, because I was in a federal holding facility. And had I went to prison, I would have actually had more freedom than I did where I was at. I was at a maximum security federal holding facility that housed pretrial people. And that's basically what I was. I was pretrial. I had not been found guilty of anything, nor had I pled. I was in the process of fighting that case. But I would tell you, I didn't lose anything because none of that stuff was important. I gained everything
I like that.
by going to jail. And I say jail because it wasn't prison. It actually was a jail, but I was there for 4 years.
I was listening to a podcast yesterday. I want to think honestly it was Joe Rogan, but a gentleman was talking about being incarcerated for almost 17 years.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I don't regret a second of it because it was a part of my becoming. I
Absolutely.
don't think I could have been who I am today without it. Because he said when I was in those moments where I was getting beaten in jail or, starvation, isolation, I had to reach within myself and either find my faith or recenter myself. And I ask you, do you feel like it provided you with a skill set that others don't have?
Yes, it did. The thing that saved me going in is I was raised military. So I always had to, we moved around every 3, 4 years. So I always had to make new friends. And then being an employer and doing sales, I was always meeting new people and knew how to talk to people, knew how to read emotions and actions and behavior just through experience. So
Mm-hmm.
that helped me not really be bothered by people in there. But I was always such a people person on being the one who was in control
Yes.
to going to having no control, having to rely on everybody where I was the provider, I was the employer, I was the one that doled out the orders to being the lowest of the low.
And do you feel like that stripping of your sense of self provided you with a level of humbleness
It
that
did.
you now use in your work today to help other people?
Absolutely. I've always helped people, but
Right.
I've always wanted to help people, but it's different because it's a different type of help now. For one, not only do I help with others who are coming out of being incarcerated, I also help to educate people about the system and what truly happens because people don't understand it. Unless you know somebody or you've been a part of it or you have a loved one that's gone through it, you don't understand how it works. And so I educate. I promised the girls that if I ever got out, that's what I was going to do. I was going to do something to make a difference. So you don't get paid to do that. It's not something that is glorifying. And you're dealing with the same people that you were just around. And when people say you're not like that, you're not like one of them. Well, you know what? I am. I was right there with them. I was wearing oranges. I was eating with them. I was sharing rooms with them. I was doing the same things day to day that they were doing for 4 years. They are no different than you or me or anybody else in the world. They are people. They have rights. And I met some really cool people and I learned a lot from people in there.
This comment is going to drag us directly in the direction I was trying to go by Miss Lori. Do we think the system is broken?
It's very broken. It's very broken because instead of making it about the person that has committed the crime and rehabilitation for them, they make it about the prosecutors and the judges and the prisons' careers and money. The prisons are about profit, and the prosecutor and the judges is about their career because most judges were prosecutors.
Right.
Prosecutors are attorneys, and they're trying to further their career. So even a plea is a win for them. I had a I
That's
had a paid
terrifying
attorney.
thought.
It's crazy. It really is. I had a paid attorney that I had to fire because he was not working hard for me. In fact, he told me, I can get you out of there. Have your family pay me another $10,000. So I said I was going to sign a plea only to get to court so I could fire my attorney. Fired my attorney in court. I got ridiculed from the judge. She told me I was trying to play the system. But in reality, I would have been in a horrible place with
Right.
the person representing me. And she gave me a public defender. And everybody says public defenders are horrible. Mine was wonderful.
Wow.
She was absolutely wonderful. She was the head of the state of Kansas. My case was very complex, and she did her job. She came to see me. Everybody says, you go see your attorney more than anybody. And I said, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you need to have a little bit more respect for your attorney, instead of
Right.
going at them and things. Now, I know there are some public defenders that are overworked and they have too many cases. All of that is true.
Right.
But it's just like any other job. Sometimes you have good ones and sometimes you have bad ones. I had a paid attorney that was not good. He was not good. But this lady would come to see me, even she didn't have anything. She would say, I was here visiting another inmate, and she didn't even call him inmate. She said, I was visiting another client.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought I would just tell you I have no news, but I wanted to at least say hi.
Say hello.
Mm-hmm.
Keep your spirits up. And, I think
Yeah.
that's mental warfare, preparing your client.
Right.
I know we had discussed a little bit in our interview previously when I went through my rape trial that I had a public defender.
Right.
And there was a team that worked a rape trial. And my main public defender was a guy, maybe like 26, 27. And the gentleman that was kind of teaching him the ropes and telling him how to behave, what not to do, he was the one that told me he would love to cross-examine me because he thought that I might be a liar about me being raped.
Well, I got called that too. Not about the rape part, but yes, they like to say that you're a liar.
And I remember he looked at the defender because the defender said, you know, I'm sorry that he's saying this to you. And he said, this guy right here isn't broken by the system yet. Eventually he'll get tired of it and he won't care as much. And it's so sad to think that people get into jobs. It's just like with the medical field, and they let their bedside manner and kindness and grace and just honestly love leave them. It's leached from them with each person. That empathy is gone. And I think that's really where, when we start going, how is the system broken? That's where it has to start. Is there are so many people that have a lack of empathy.
That is true. And my prosecutor absolutely hated me. My mother told somebody the other day that this person, when I would walk in the room, you could just see that instant hate in his face. And that's a shame. It just is, because when you let hate control you, then you want the worst outcome for that person as possible, including he didn't let me have bond with all the medical issues that I had going on. I'm glad I didn't get bond. I will tell you that now. But then I didn't know, what was really going to happen. And the judge tends to go with what the prosecutor wants. It's just the way it is, and it's very unfortunate. They wanted me to do 30 years. And I spent time with a gal that kidnapped somebody, slit the woman's throat, and got 28 years. And yet they wanted me to do 30, and mine was white collar crime. I could get into
it without your knowledge, to be
right. Yes. And they have no fairness in sentencing guidelines. And they want to take your, like for me, whatever amount of the money was, they add points to you. And that's how the years add up, is based on this point system. So murder, rape, bank robbery. Most bank robbers, I had somebody in there armed robbery and then ended up in a high-speed vehicle chase, got 10 years. She'll be out in 8.
That is absurd, but I'm all too familiar with that because my rapist was convicted of sexual assault, sexual battery, and walked on the rape charges, even though there was full proof. And he served 9 months, got out in 6 or 7 months on good behavior, and only served weekends. He got to go about his week and go to work, and then he would just go and serve on the weekends.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. There's no fairness on things. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't do a lot of time. There's some people that need to come out. But what I am saying is I spent 3 years fighting my case before I even signed a plea.
That's terrifying.
Because some of the charges were not accurate. I didn't have little kids at home, and my whole family said, fight, fight. In the beginning, my attorney thought I was a liar. The prosecutor definitely thought I was a liar. They were telling my family I was a liar. And then all of a sudden, evidence started showing up that I knew existed. They never wanted to talk about any of my partners. It was all me. There was things that happened on dates that could prove I was out of town, could prove I was in the hospital. But their thing is, you just had your staff do it.
Right.
You just had your staff do it. So, you're not going to change their mind. You're not going to make it up to say or do something any different than what they want you to be incarcerated for. But here's the thing. You can be a murderer and plead down to a different charge and get less time. Even with me, if you plead to this, we'll make all of these charges go away. Well, then why did you charge me for them?
Exactly.
I ended up walking out with 3 charges out of 26. And it took 3 years to get to that point. 3 years for white collar crime to not be able to even be out on.
You fought for yourself every day.
I did.
And what did you have to tell yourself? Like, what was your internal conversation?
Well, in the beginning, I was angry. Oh, I was so angry. But I determined if I was going to be in there and I wasn't going to get out, that I was not going to let it be a waste of my time. So I took that anger and I journaled. I journaled about stories that happened in there, my thoughts, and I sent it home and let the family read everything. So they knew it all, because at this stage of the game, I had nothing to lose. You know,
Right.
they're either going to believe or not believe what they want. They're going to think what they want. Nothing you can say or do is going to change that. Your actions, however, over time can change people's opinion. But when I'm in there, they're not even going to see my actions. So I decided, you know what? You've always said you're going to write a book. You've never had time to do that. So I took all of my anger out and created a fiction thriller novel that was about
What's the name of that again?
I'm sorry?
What's the name of that new book again?
It's called Restitution. It's back here behind me. You can see she's got her little bag of tricks and she's got a little drill. She
Where
uses,
can everybody get that at?
you can get it at Amazon. You can get it at Dorrance Bookstore. Dorrance is my publisher. You can get it on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's out. And this lady is out for blood. She is taking everybody that's harmed her, hurt her in some way. And when you find out the things that they did to her, you actually start to like her. She becomes an unhero, you know, but she's still a hero to some people. So I did that. Of course, I couldn't publish it till I got out, and I learned to draw. So when I was waiting to see what my life was going to behold, I started to draw. And you can see some of the photos behind me. I never drew until I was incarcerated. I still tried to be a part of my family's life. I always called, I always wrote, drew pictures. For Christmas, I would write a letter to each one because our family gets together, and then they would read that letter, and it would be about memories when they were a child, or things that just go around the room. So it felt like I was with them when they were exchanging their gifts and stuff. And like I said, they came to see me. The support system is phenomenal, and I spent a lot of time with people who didn't even get a visitor in years. And I can't imagine the mental state that they would be put in. You know, just the first 6 months I was there, my mental state was horrible.
Right.
Along with my medical, I prayed, God, just take me out. I don't
Right.
want to be 30 years here. Just take me out. And I was even mad at him. You know, I was a believer at a young age and went to church, taught Sunday school, did women's ministry. And of course, once I started doing some of the things I was doing and became incarcerated, my testimony just went out the window. It was gone. My reputation was gone. Everything I worked for was gone. And it took me about 7 or 8 months to get on my knees and to truly repent that I had seen the ugliness of the person that I had become. And when that happened, my life was changing. And I was actually in peace while I was incarcerated.
Wow.
I was at peace. And that is so hard to put into words because until you experience that kind of love, you just don't know how to explain it. And there was a gal in there, she was maybe in her 50s, and I kid you not, she was almost 400 pounds. Huge, huge sores all over her body where she had been shooting up and missing her veins. And she came in, she was so hateful and so negative, and she was cutting up and dancing and acting like she was happy to be there. And I was like, what in the world is wrong with her? And then all of a sudden she started retreating to her cell and she wasn't coming out anymore. And I walked by and she says, come here, I want to read you something. And she started reading me these prayers that was poetry that she was writing. And she says, look at that person out there. Look at them acting a fool. I can't believe, look how much that person has changed. And I said, no, you were just doing that with that person.
Right.
You're the one that has changed. And we started doing some Bible studies together. And I was used to leading Bible studies. How dare I just sit underneath somebody? And I let her teach these studies. And I just realized how broken I was, how far I had fallen, how bad and despicable I had become. And once I realized that and truly, truly just turned my life over, miracles started happening. I ended up signing a plea, supposed to do 78 months. I didn't sign the plea, but we talked about it. Right. 78 months, and I ended up getting out in 44. And that is nothing but because my heart and my mindset had changed about the person that I was, who I am now, and who I'm going to be. And when you make up your mind that you're going to do something, and your mindset is there that I can do this, it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter if you're in prison. It doesn't matter if you're at home. It doesn't matter if you're in the best job in the world. You're going to do what you set out to do, no matter what your circumstances and your surroundings are. And that's what I did. When I got out, I decided I was going to get my book published. I'm still going to stay self-employed. I've been self-employed since high school. I don't know how I would do in a 9-to-5 job, but that's just who I am. And I realized I was doing it all wrong because my goals and my priorities were backwards.
Hmm.
And first, you got to have the foundation for yourself, and you should put your marriage and your family before you do anything. Once you do that, everything else is going to fall in place if you have the first key right, and that's to put God before even your marriage and your family. And once I did that, I can just I can't even begin to tell you how blessed I am.
You know, as I'm listening to your testimony and what you've been through and getting to know you in the direction that you're trying to go in, I just can't help but hear the conviction became your conviction to help others.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I believe that the conviction led to your ability to have the conviction to save lives. And right now, to the person that is absolutely going through the thick of it and they feel like there is no hope for tomorrow, you've been on that low point. What would you say to them?
I would say first that you need to look deep inside of you and see what the problem really is. What is wrong with you that's putting you in the situation that you're in right now? What have you done? Because we've all done something.
Right.
And I'm not talking about breaking the law. I'm just talking about what actions have you done that's put you in the situation where you're at right now. And how can you change that? Which means changing yourself. And if you're not willing to change yourself to get to a better place, then you're going to be stuck there forever. And the only way you're going to get unstuck is to take that step.
Right.
And make that change. And if that means reaching out for help, if it means asking a family member for something, then do it. If you need to go to therapy, whatever you got to do, you need to do that because you are going to be miserable until you do. And I went on the real estate office that I was at, we won a lot of awards through the franchise, and we went on a cruise, and it was a cruise for nothing but real estate agents with this particular brand. And it was a cruise that had a public speaker on it. And it was supposed to be all about motivating the agents and the brokers and stuff. And he was up on stage, and I said, you know what? I've been wanting to do that for a long time. I did it already. I had already been doing it, but it wasn't my job. And I just think back that was almost 18 years ago. And my son, when I got out, I stayed with him for a little bit because where my parents lived, they hadn't looked at the house yet. And what I didn't tell you is we also had a huge house fire while I was in, so we lost absolutely everything we had. So, and not knowing if I was going to end up in another state, going to prison, or whatever was going to happen, my husband just stayed with my parents until we knew what was going to happen. So while I'm staying with my son, he says, Mom, you need to start speaking again. I've seen you do it. That is your calling. You need to do that along with your books. And to have that support coming from one of your children telling you what your talent should be was just amazing. Absolutely amazing. And then COVID hit, of course. So
Right.
I've only been out for, it'll be 3 years in August. So not a whole lot of public speaking going on. But we've done a lot of virtual things, and it's allowed me to set up my foundation.
Right. And that poses my next question. As you're getting into the next seasons and you have been preparing and getting ready and finding your center and your group of people that you want to surround yourself, because like you said, the people you surround yourself become you, birds of a feather flock together.
Right.
What's next?
Well, we have a huge event coming up, and it's about overcoming challenges. It's called Becoming the Best You Can Be, Overcoming Challenges. And it's not about selling products. It's not about you spending money on an event that's just going to be the same old thing. It is truly about people who have been through story after story after story and have taken themselves from the ghetto in gang situations and became top-notch people in their community, authors. Just in general, there's all kinds of people there that are just going to walk you through how they made the necessary changes in their life to get to the point where they are today. And if you're unhappy in your job, or you like your job, you just want to do better, or you're just unhappy with yourself. This conference is about making you be the best you can be. It's not about your employment. It's about you. It is about focusing on you and your inner self to make you step up and step out. That's what it's about. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful of the stories that you're going to hear. Not only are you going to hear stories about other people's challenges and what they're doing, you're going to be able to network and talk about other things that's
Right.
going on in your life with people who have been through it. We are going to have people off to the sidelines. I think Emily's going to be one of them included. That if you want to talk about something that she's went through, she's going to be there for you to do that with. And there's several people going to do that. We have a black tie affair. We're going to have a comedian that was a small town mayor, and then was also a comedian, and then back to a mayor, and then is actually an author.
Wow.
He's going to come share his story, so you get tickets to that. It's just going to be a really good event. That's one of many. These are going to be going on all over the country in the next couple of years. We're going to do 3 to 4 of them a year. Of course, the titles will change, but that's not what's it's important to me, because
Right.
people need that. But what's important to me right now is helping those who have family members that are incarcerated, helping the families of those who are incarcerated, and educating them, because people don't know what they're right. They just don't know.
Right.
And I want to get the word out that these people are going to be coming back into your community. They're going to be sitting beside you in church. They're going to be sitting beside you at a restaurant, and they are just like you. They
They
just
deserve to be treated humanely.
absolutely, absolutely. And sometimes they've went to prison for things they didn't even do. They get so scared they will sign a plea just to get it over with.
Especially young kids.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, if you don't have a good attorney and you don't have the education behind you, and I don't mean college education. I meant education that you're not willing to pick up a book and read and find out the answers, because not everybody can do that.
Right.
People don't think like that. Some people do. I had time, and that's what I did. And I knew my rights were being violated. My prosecutor listened to my attorney phone call, and that actually got me out early. God had found a way.
Wow.
I didn't have to spend all that time in there. And that happened to many, many, many people, but they didn't fight for it. They didn't fight for it, and they're still there. They're still there.
But you're fighting for it now, and you're shining
Absolutely.
that light not only in your community, but you're going for national attention on how we need to change and address incarceration. And I think that's the pivotal moment where you don't cower to the things that have happened to you, and you're a testament to that. Stepping out and saying, "This happened, but it has created me and held space for me to where I'm going, and I'm going to hold space for the next person."
It does, but it doesn't do it for everybody, because not everybody will take that chance. Not everybody knows that those chances exist. Not everybody knows that it can be done.
Right.
And they have a mindset that's weak. And I don't mean to put them down, but they're accepting, and they're just going to do their time, and they're going to come, and they're going to either go back in because they don't think they have a worth and a value, and they got comfortable where they were, so it was easier, because it's hard when you come out. People are
Right.
staring at you, they're whispering behind your back, you feel ashamed, you're embarrassed, but you got to overcome that,
Right.
because it's in your past, and you can use that to move forward, or you can use it to stay stuck. And I'm choosing not to do that. But folks that have that mentality, that I'm worthless, I don't have a right to be here, I'm a criminal, I'm an ex-con now, what am I going to do with my life? Oh, woe is me. You have every opportunity that everybody else in this world has. You just got to take it.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And I think that is just the testament in itself, is to go after it and to know that even if you're in a place of stagnation where you feel like you're out of control, you can still control that internal self.
Right.
I think, through your incarceration, that's really what you honed in on,
It
was
is.
working on
It is.
that internal self.
And there is nothing there to help you. Okay, so they say you're going to go to prison, you're going to get rehabilitated. Well, they say they have classes for this and classes for that. The reality is there are very few classes,
Mm.
and then only a select few can get into them. And then they only want you to probably get into them right before you're getting ready to go home. So it's not something that, if you've done any amount of time, years, that you're working on yourself over years, you're only working on yourself a couple months before you get out. So you don't know if
Right.
you've been validated or not. You just went through the motions to get out. The food is horrible.
Mm.
It's expensive. It costs to call. It costs to email. It costs to do video visits. It costs to send mail. It costs to receive emails. It costs 5 cents a minute to read your emails. Commissary is not free. You get 3 hot things. All right. If you want to call nothing but starch foods a healthy diet, if you're a diabetic, it's just going to be bad.
You know,
Pure boredom. There's not jobs for everybody like they claim. And you have a choice to continue down the path that you're on and accept where you are, or you can change your mindset and change your life regardless of your circumstances.
absolutely. And you know that is the whole purpose of not only Unraveled, but what you're trying to work towards. If someone wants to get tickets, where can they get those tickets at?
You can go to comechangeyourlife.com.
Ooh, that's an easy one to remember, y'all. As
Mhm.
I always say, to the self that is yet to exist, if you feel like you're shackled and you're waiting on that conviction to turn over, I think this event is for you.
It
Not only
absolutely
am
is.
I going to it because I'm interested in it, but because I know that I have some convictions that I've yet to lay down. And I think that's the key in growth.
Mhm.
And that's what Brenda stands for. So I'm going to kind of open the floor to anyone that might have questions. And if not, we're going to wrap this thing up, and I'm going to drop some information and links about this event. And I hope to see you guys there, because I don't know about you, but I like to shake things up and change my life a little bit every once in a while. So I think that's important. Do you have anything that you want to close with? Any statements that you really want to leave us with as far as to keep going?
First and foremost, I don't want you to judge others because you don't know what they're going through. Sometimes the decisions that they have made are based on circumstances that are unbelievable going on in their life. And sometimes we make bad choices because of that. Doesn't mean we're bad people. And second is, if you really want to change your life, then find a way to do it.
Absolutely. Looks like you've got a new fan, someone interested in conversing with you about what they've been through. I think that's an imperative part of sharing our testimony, is reaching your hand out and grabbing another and either sharing in that story or showing them how to take the steps to move forward. So I think that's just a beautiful testament to where we're going. And I just want to thank everyone today for not only being on Questions Unraveled, but for watching this beautiful story of Bryn and seeing that no matter where you come from, not only can you lose it all, but you can gain it back and also gain back the inner strength that you never even had in the first place. And I think that is the epitome of the human experience. And I just want to, again, thank you. And everybody, just make sure you share this out. We're going to hop off here, guys. I'll drop the link to the event, and I hope to see you all there. I will see you next week.
Thanks.